What's up, everybody? My name is Adam Palmer. This is Daily Nonsense. On today's show, we're going to be talking about a potential new Prizm design, a one-of-one Superfractor that was posted on Twitter, and a player who could be the new face of the WNBA. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoy the video. Also, hit subscribe if you are a new viewer so you don't miss any future Daily Nonsense content. Let's get into the video. There was a pretty interesting preview that came out. I saw a Blowouts Forum Twitter account post the images for Prizm Black, this year's Prizm Black, which in years past, there's been like, I think 2 to 3 different versions of Prizm. This year's version looks like they're using a different design for the cards, which I don't know if they are launching the new Prizm design for the upcoming year with this product, or if they just decided that they're coming out with a new Prizm design. I don't really know which one it is because it's just something that we've never really seen Panini do, because across basically all of their sports, I mean, at least all the big ones, basketball and football, they have used the same design for either of those two products. And then they end up using the same design for Optic and Donruss, and basically all their products all have the same design under the same branding. And Prizm obviously is another brand that is my take on Prizm is similar to the one on National Treasures, which I don't think it's going to be as hard to replace as National Treasures for Topps, but it is like maybe one of the biggest brands in the industry. I don't know if this is something that we're going to see in the future where Panini, maybe they have more resources because they have less licenses and they're going to do different designs for different products. We talked earlier in the week about how football for Topps is probably going to be canceled. Or for 2025, Topps football is probably going to be canceled. So that means Panini is going to be the only one making some of the big cards. So Prizm is going to be one of those big cards. And I don't know if, I guess, this design that they're using for Prizm Black basketball is going to be the design they're using for next year's products, or if they're just, like I said, if they're just doing a new design for this product because they just want to, I guess. There was a Bobby Witt Jr. Superfractor from 2020 Bowman, his first Bowman Superfractor. The card was posted on Twitter by Cards Max for $150,000. And I think that's a reasonable price. I guess we're kind of in a weird spot where it's like, I don't know what cards should be worth, if I'm going to be completely honest. The only way that I really can determine what cards are worth is what people are willing to pay for them. Because across a bunch of different auctions, I thought cards were going to sell for a certain amount, and then they end up selling for a completely different amount. And this card, like I said, if it sells for $150,000, maybe it does. It's not the autograph version, so it's not like his best card. It's probably like his second or third. I mean, I think probably his Topps Chrome Superfractor Auto is probably going to be his second best card, and then this might be third potentially. I'm sure there's other, and I'm talking about base cards because obviously there's going to be autograph patch autos, I'm sure, from like Dynasty and these types of big products that are going to be very important as well. I think that he could easily win MVP at some point in his career. I think if you look at how he has done as a player, his stats are very impressive. He's gone 30-30 every single year, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. I don't think he's going to reach it this year. I think the statistic that I think I saw was he was around 17 or 18 home runs. So like, unless in the last like 40 games of the season, he goes on like an absolute tear and hits, 12 home runs. I don't foresee him doing that. He's tied for third, but like it's plus 10,000 odds. So really you're looking at it like it's either Cal Raleigh or it's Aaron Judge, which earlier in the season it looked like Judge might be getting hurt. He might be out for the season, but then apparently he didn't have to get the surgery. So now he's not out. So, granted, there's probably a good shot that Judge ends up winning MVP. I mean, Cal Raleigh could have a crazy rest of the season, similar to Bobby Witt. Like, he could have a crazy rest of the season and then maybe overtake Judge, but I just find that you're not going to find Bobby Witt jumping those two, unfortunately. But in a different season, there is definitely a chance that Witt could win MVP. So that's probably where you're seeing some of this pricing in his first 4 years, especially playing for Kansas City too. I think that if he can bring Kansas City to some sort of deep playoff run, that would be great. I mean, Kansas City, they've got Mahomes, so they have a decent market for cards. So if he brings them to like a deep playoff run or something along those lines, I could see Bobby Witt cards doing pretty well in the future. If he wins MVP, I don't think for him necessarily, like for Aaron Judge and other like Ohtani, for example, the pricing of their cards is really determined by them already winning MVPs. Like the MVPs are baked in. For Bobby Witt, I think that there's a decent shot that he could see a little bit of an uptick, kind of depending on what other players do in the AL. And if, Jack Caglione, who we talked about earlier in this week as well, if he ends up being better for that Royals team, that could be another thing that would help the team overall and then help Witt's prices as well. I'm not going to talk about it on today's episode, probably Monday or Tuesday's episode of next week. We are going to be discussing some of the monster cards that are being sold this upcoming weekend through Heritage Auctions. If you haven't had a chance to check out those cards, definitely take a look. I'm sure there's probably going to be tons of people doing live streams of like the final sales, but I mean, we have some industry changing cards potentially, or some industry determining cards in this auction. The Jordan gold SGC 10 gold label. Like there are some amazing cards in this Heritage Auctions that are going to be ending this weekend. So go check out those cards as they're ending the auctions this upcoming weekend. In the WNBA, obviously, Caitlin Clark is going to be the big moneymaker for a lot of people who are collecting cards. But I think that if Caitlin Clark had not come around, that Paige Bueckers would have been as popular as Caitlin Clark. She was like a 4-year player, which she got hurt, and I think she got an extra year at UConn. Is one of those types of players for the WNBA where, like I said, if Caitlin Clark is not around, which right now, obviously Clark is hurt and it's to be determined whether she's going to be coming back this season, but I think that Paige Bueckers could be the face of the league and should have been the face of the league if Caitlin Clark didn't come around. I mean, her rise in college was pretty crazy. And at that time in the season where Caitlin Clark really is just becoming the player that she is today in the media with like all of the crazy shots and all of the crazy publicity that she has, that was the season that Paige Bueckers was out with a torn ACL. We're probably looking at like a 2017 to 2018 type jump in the production of cards for the WNBA. 2017 and 2018, if you look at like Tatum's PSA 10s versus Trae Young and Luka's PSA 10s, there is a massive jump in the production of how many of those cards there are. So I'm going to say I probably think that there's going to be a massive jump for 2024 to 2025 rookies, which like if you are looking to buy 2024, I know I saw somebody on Twitter was saying how Caitlin Clark is overrated and her cards are the next bubble to burst. And I mean, I just disagree. I don't know. I felt like it was almost a rage bait post because we've seen her rise in sports cards and her rise in the WNBA. I don't know if they've been similar necessarily, but they've been going at the same trajectory. And we're going to see also the one-of-one National Treasures sell probably in the next like couple weeks as well. So I don't know. I just disagree. That was a post that I looked at and I was just like, I'm not even really going to, I'll look at some of the comments and see what people are saying. And I don't want to say that everybody was disagreeing with her or disagreeing with them. There were people that were disagreeing and saying, or agreeing that people were agreeing and disagreeing. I'd say that the majority of people probably were disagreeing more than they were agreeing. But either way, Paige Bueckers, once her cards start coming out, it's going to be very interesting to see how her cards do in the market, because I think that there's going to be a lot of them where Caitlin Clark, there are a lot of her cards, but I think if we're comparing them to other athletes, there are not as many. But I think we're going to see the jump from last year to this year with Paige Bueckers and the amount of cards there are for WNBA, not just in any individual product, but I bet we're going to see more products come out as we start to see a little bit of a transition here for Panini. And the WNBA is like going to be one of their big licenses that they still will have as they transition to changing some of the licenses that they have versus what they don't have. That's all we've got for the episode today. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about today's show. Also, make sure to come back to the Sports Card Nonsense YouTube channel every day for daily nonsense. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.